Welcome to the Lost Signals Discusses Literature,
where we apply the revolutionary Mott skill
to classic and contemporary works of prose.
So, join us once again, won't you?
Hello there, welcome back to the Lost Signals Discusses / Reviews Literature. I am your Thunder God, Scott Thurlow, and I'm here tonight with my minions, Jonathan Ian Manzer.
Hello.
Stephen Amosi.
Aloha.
And Chris Morgan.
Here comes the sun.
Yep, nice. Yes, and tonight's selection is a randomly chosen by me from a list of greatest sci-fi, both modern and classic, and it comes from a rather indeed classic writer, Ray Bradbury, and it is All Summer in a Day. So I believe Steve-O has a quick logline for us.
Margot's in the closet.
Margot's in the closet, baby. And with that, E, why don't you tell us about the plot of All Summer in a Day?
So we're on Venus. And it's all rain. For 7 years it's been raining.
All
the
day,
sun's
every
about
day.
to come out. Briefly. And everyone's excited, especially the school children we're following. However, Margot, our protagonist from Earth, knows what the sun's like. So she's tossed in the closet as punishment for having seen the sun prior.
Well, she's disbelieved, I think. I think that's the point of them tossing her in the closet.
Sunchild. Throw in the closet.
And sun comes up for an hour or so.
I think 2 hours is the specific
No,
time.
I think that they were predicting 2 hours, and then it started to rain.
It's a window, yeah. Nice.
A few drops, a couple, a little over an hour, and the torrential downpour of what I imagine is sulfuric acid, because that is what would rain on Venus.
Ray Bradbury would know, yes.
Which is hilarious because one of them puts a raindrop and don't one of them put rainwater on each other.
In this, it's rain.
They're
they would be destroyed.
I'm also pretty sure that Venus is not also covered in a lush,
an ashen
verdant
forest.
So, and she ends up getting out of the closet. The end.
After the
they let her out. She doesn't get out.
No, that's true.
She doesn't find her way out.
Yes.
The Venetians were very charitable in that sense.
Venetians or Venusians?
No, Venetians, the people who live
Did
on
she
Venus.
end up in Venice? Is this a find and replace?
Venetian blinds, Venusian blondes. It's all
the Venetians. Maybe it was the town of Venice, Venus.
Which they should very well do if they ever colonize Venus. However, with all that, what do you guys think of the plot in terms of score?
It's an okay story.
Yeah.
It's that's the best.
It's a fine Bradbury read.
It's 2 at best.
Yep.
It is
I
2
would
at
say.
best. At best, that's I could be convinced to a 1. I will not be convinced to a 3. But I'm gonna pass off to you guys. Convince me one way or the other.
Yeah. So there's not much to the plot. It's a fun story to read. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed reading it. It's a quick read, but it's basically sun doesn't come out very often. Lock a girl in the closet. Sun comes out. Let the girl out of the closet. That's the entire plot. And it's not like there's really an arc or any characters find out any new information or change, really.
There's a small arc, but I see what you mean broadly. Yeah, go on.
Except for that Margot is now taught to never trust anyone in her life ever again.
As she shouldn't.
Or they all believe her now and make her their god.
I hope she does go back to Earth.
Probably not.
A 7-year rain cycle. I like rain. That's a little too intense.
I'm okay. Ship me the rainy Venus, whatever.
Yeah,
Good.
I'd kill myself.
All right.
Or whatever you want to say. Save us out.
So wait.
So given all that,
I don't know. I'm right with you. I'm I want somebody to tell me if this is a 1 or a 2, because I'm kind of leaning towards a 1, to be honest with you, because it is not a fall of the story. There's just no substance to it. This is something. Here's what it is. Having this classroom, listening to this classroom, I had a flashback to grade school, and the closet, the little bathrooms they used to have in the thing, and I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, this reminds me of some little throwaway thing that the teacher would give us to read. And I'm a fan of Bradbury's. I'm not disparaging him as a writer at all, or a little vignette. But if you compare something like this to even Lawn Dad, this doesn't have nearly as much substance. This is a pretty basic story.
Cody.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Chris and I were at a Spanish guitar concert thing
Story time.
a while ago. It was in a library. So I was looking at the books and I found a Shel Silverstein collection. I love Shel Silverstein. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And this felt like reading one of his poems and vignettes where, I love the world he built, but perhaps as a work in a larger collection, this would have had greater meaning.
Mm.
But on its own, it didn't leave. I probably actually forget that I ever read this story tomorrow.
I just remembered the title. I could not tell you what the story was about until I read it. I'm like, oh yeah. But I'm like, I like you said, I remember the title. I don't remember anything else about it.
Sure.
Can you tell us what the story was about until you read it?
No, what I'm saying is when Scott presented to me, I'm like, I think I read this before. It sounds familiar.
That's how I exactly went. So
Yeah.
I'm going to argue for a 1 as well.
Okay.
That here's why. Like, here's how I thought of it. This is a nice little neat idea that Bradbury might have had, and like, let me just scribble it down, and then like maybe found it years later. I was like, I'll get to that. I'll write that story. I'll write it real quick. And like, yes, it's a neat idea, and a lot of it maybe go to themes, but as a plot itself, as you mentioned, I think it's just like it's not substantial enough. There's something there to it, but because it's so light and breezy, and I think a good point you made, maybe it's unfair, but as compared to his other stories, there are certainly a lot other, and like even his longer works, like granted, that might be because he had more room to work with, but nevertheless, I think it's not like a bad plot, but it's not like the point of the story either. Again, it was like, what if this, right? And like, it's like a comic book, like you get through it in like 10 pages, right? Like it could be silent even. So like, I'm just saying, I think that is further evidence, further reasons perhaps to give it a 1 on this front.
Even I've read works this short prior that have greater meaning to them. So
Yeah.
Or packed more into the space.
Like I said, Lawn Dad, that was like, 5 paragraphs, 6 paragraphs? And we got a lot out of that.
So yeah, like I agree, like I think we're all looking at ones. What are you looking at?
Sure.
Yeah.
I
I mostly agree for those reasons.
Sorry, Ray.
But yeah, it's not his best story. It's okay, but again, neat idea.
Ray?
1 for that.
It was okay.
Well then, let's go into themes, Steve-O, and tell us about those.
Sure. Prophets are always punished. First theme.
Cassandra complex.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's much more than that going on. It's like maybe children are assholes.
Yeah, well, of course.
That was my theme
of the day. But you know, I think it is the idea. I think the main thing is the idea that like the more you know about something, the less people will believe you, and like
who
the more
unfamiliar,
right, the
it's
more
completely
people,
alien to them.
the more you get the like backfire effect. And I think it's strong enough for 1 themes. But what do you guys have to say?
The other always gets punished. In a way, she was raining on their sun parade, and they wanted to exclude her because she's not a Venusian, she's an Earthling. And I thought that's a timeless... It's true on Earth, it's true on distant planets, or close planets as well.
Wherever humans colonize,
Yeah,
they'll be dicks.
Yeah. Mars rules.
Mars
Earth
forever.
sucks,
Yeah.
Mars forever.
Earth can
I
suck.
did like her poem. I guess that'll be in style.
Sure. But like, I mean, yeah, I think, again, it's a neat idea, and Ray Bradbury always has, like, he's known for this, he codified a lot of them. So yeah, I think it still works on that front. Yes, it has those, like, very humanistic themes to them, as it always has been, like, a little, like, note of hope. I always got out of it, like, she was disbelieved, like, they don't really question that she's seen the sun, but don't believe, like, her descriptions of it, because they don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
So, you know what reminded me of one of the early stories was Nightfall by Asimov. They're rather contemporaries. It's like, I think that one was much better done, but I still think this one has a similar theme, if not the same exact one, and its characters we'll get to in a second, I think were enough there to combine to give themes a 1. It's a neat little read, and it has a neat idea, and it's executed well enough for me.
I agree.
I'll go with it.
Yep. All right. So, Chris, tell us then about the antagonist, asshole children, as you alluded
Yeah, I was
to.
going to say those little bastards who locked her in the fucking closet. I honestly do not know what to say
It's really
because
hard.
those little son of a bitches can be either supporting or they can be antagonists. And I mean, if you want to go on a greater scope of it, it is you could say the antagonist is jealousy, envy, ignorance.
Ignorance is the one I wrote.
Ignorance. The squashing of the truth to put somebody that there's a hierarchy.
But see, like this, I'm going to push back a little bit. Like, I don't think they don't know it's a truth until they actually see it.
No, honestly, they
have
are
some vague idea of it, but
they are kids, and usually kids are learned behavior. So maybe their parents are the antagonist.
All right.
But no, but
extrapolating a lot.
Yeah, well, seriously, no, but
Venus is the antagonist.
Yeah.
For some reason,
Really, Earth is
Just
the
bring it all back to humans.
No, I was going to say their parents are the
send people to Venus.
her parents are the antagonists because they should have stayed on Earth instead of coming to fucking Venus.
But opportunity awaits, of course. But anyway.
No, but I mean, the thing about...
Go on.
I mean, if you're going to say envy, ignorance...
I'm going to say ignorance, yet. I'll back you up on that for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're talking about a greater thematic thing, because there's not one... All these little kids blended into one miserable little waif. So, sorry.
No, I get it.
Miserable waif?
A waif? Yeah, these little. But anyway, no. My whole point is if you want to have something, if you want to go with a greater, nebulous, kind of antagonist, I would definitely say if we're gonna go ignorance, I'd say ignorance.
I'm sorry. R. Kelly is definitely the villain of this. Trapped in the Closet.
But which came first, this or?
It's timeless. But nonetheless,
They're both equally
I actually
timeless.
agree that it's that ignorance and that an outsider... Actually, that idea that the prophets always get punished. Someone with knowledge is challenging core presuppositions about how the world or solar system works. Or
has foreknowledge of it,
the
kind
sun,
of.
therefore it must never be out. Or it must not exist.
Or it can't be as great or as amazing as you describe it.
Right.
So yeah, that makes sense to me. And that's also a timeless tale.
I think so. What do you think, Stevo? You follow this?
I mean, just the nature of children almost
It's both.
is the antagonist in this, and it's the nature of humans in general.
Exactly.
It's kind of as you just mentioned, Ian, you are challenging the things that I've experienced, therefore I must punish you. And
A little back, as you mentioned
as
earlier.
much as we like to think that that's a childish thing to do, it's really not. It happens.
Certainly, yeah.
Adults do that same exact thing, and yeah, I mean, I think that's a decent antagonist, and I'm going to give it a 1 for that.
I agree pretty much. I had ignorance written down on my first thing, and I think that adds on to everything you guys said. It's making a pretty effective and at least well-portrayed antagonist there. All right, that'll bring me to protagonists. So here's my description of Margot, who is ostensibly the only named character, at least the one that's focused on the most. She's a watercolor impression of a 9-year-old child, right? You get some sense of her, and certainly, again, her big defining trait is she's ostracized because she knows what it is to see the sun, how Earth is versus Venus.
Margot
Also,
in the closet with diamonds.
Being a
Should have gone with that. The log line.
being Earthling versus being
Yeah.
Grade school sucks enough.
Yeah, she's
to-
doubly ostracized because she's oh, you're the new kid essentially from a place that we're not familiar with, and ostensibly maybe have some kind of if not antagonistic, but lesser view of, right? So and yeah, the assholery of children, as we mentioned. But I'm just saying, for her as a character, she's definitely a device versus a character unto herself. She's just there to impart again this neat dream-like idea as Ray Bradbury often had. So I don't think again, she's not a bad character per se, but she's not well-rounded or fleshed out enough to me to give her a 1. She's just there to impart again, to channel as a focal point for the ideas he's throwing into it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that she is a character that's shipped in a closet for half the story, which is only 4 pages long as it is, or
Right.
however many pages long. Yeah, 4. So it's tough to give her a 1, although I'm tempted to, just because of some of the description here, her thoughts, and I love her poem that I will mention again once we get the style.
Yeah, sure.
But,
Go on, sorry.
you know, she like there is this kind of feeling like wall of missing her when she's not there, when she's locked in the closet, and like
She's the most interesting thing
feeling what she's missing out on. I think I might give it a 1 for that, just because like I have this sense of like loss for her as all these other kids are out enjoying the sun. I like I kept thinking while I was reading this, like, how's her story going to end? And I think that's a mark of at least a protagonist that sticks in your head.
So aside from the description of Venus and the world that was built, Margot was the lasting thing I remember from this, though she's fading as I'm speaking. But I do remember the poem, though I don't remember the details of the poem. I do remember
it's 2 words. I'll say
it's like a stanza,
style,
yeah.
But yeah.
There are... I don't know if I'm rewarding her because she's the most interesting thing here, or if I should punish her for her not being interesting on a grander scale. But I think that overall she did leave something of her impression on me.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't know if I agree. What do you think, Chris? Give me your...
I'm going to give her a 1
version.
for one reason and one reason only. Because if there is any pathos in this at all, if there is any feeling in this at all, it is because of her.
It's via her.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it'd be like watching a blank wall.
That's brilliant.
I get it. But like, I don't disagree with that at all. But I'm trying to reconcile with my impression, which is like a watercolor impression. Yes, she does poetry. Here's one line of poetry she wrote. Mm-hmm. Yes, here's the descriptions that filter through her eyes that are there. It's tough because you guys make really good points.
But without her, you're just watching a bunch of little kids be horrible to each other.
But again, like, it's weird.
It's
like,
fucking Lord of the Flies. She's not there.
Sort of.
I mean, it's Lord of the Flies if she is
because
there, too,
she's a device vehicle. Like, that's how I view her the most.
No flies left on Venus.
Not after the rain. But I'm just saying, like, because she's a vehicle and like she's given enough of like a framework there, yes. And I feel like we've run up to this similar thing in other stories.
Oh, certainly.
So like, I'm just gonna I might just lean a little bit softer on the 0.
Go soft on it.
But
hey, man, we could always use the centers.
Yeah, you guys are gonna give it like 1s, and that's fine. Like, I see your points, and it could have. It's close. It's very, very close. But my gut reaction, and even talking out, like, I still think just not enough there. Although it's not bad or poorly done.
I don't blame you.
Good,
I
man.
almost gave it a 0 too, but
yeah, you guys talked yourself. That's all good. Well then, E, given that
0.
Tell us the other characters. The secondary 0. All right.
Who are they?
The other children and
What
the
are
teacher.
what is one of their names? I don't even think they were given names.
William said the teacher, so that means the summer kid has a name William.
Yeah, they're
and that's it.
A bunch of fucking assholes. That's basically it.
They're 9-year-old.
All they're good for is being like a vehicle, or not a vehicle, like a puppet of the antagonist, which is this other thing.
The greatest sin of it is they're all there are no different characters there. It's just
they're a mob.
It's a
fucking mob.
I was gonna say they're
it's
the
a
mob.
flock of animals.
But imagine being a mob for a greater purpose. I don't think it works.
Mobs don't have to have purposes, but you know what I mean. Like they act like collectively like a herd. Like I guess I want to say
it's more. It doesn't seem to be purposeful in the sense of 2 themes. It seems purposeful in the sense of time constraints.
Yeah,
I guess that's fair too, and I do think that is an angle. So yeah, like yes, I'm gonna give it like a harder 0, if you will, just because I think whatever characterization is there already goes into themes and antagonists, as we said. So that leaves like almost nothing left for them as antagonists, or I'm sorry, and in terms of secondary characters unto themselves.
Yeah.
Alrighty, sounds good. I agree there. So Steve-O, the dialogue. Go ahead. You've been waiting to read this poem. Read it at some point.
Yeah, actually, well, I don't know. I'm not putting the poem as part of dialogue.
Okay. Oh, it's style. Okay.
The rest of dialogue is kind of trash, and I don't want to
not trash, but
include it in that. I mean, it's just not good.
Can you read off some dialogue for us?
Sure. I did, said Margot. I did. William, said the teacher. Where's teacher? She'll be back. She'd better hurry. We'll miss it. I mean, it's just like it's.
Well, read in that monotone voice, but of course,
very,
I'm agreeing
very,
with you.
very, 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 very. It serves its purpose, and that's it.
See spot run.
Yeah.
Oh, it's better than the sun lamps, isn't it?
Oh yes,
Much,
much
much
better or
better.
whatever. Yeah.
See Dick lock Jane in a
There's
closet.
not. There wasn't
See
really
a bunch of
anything that,
dicks
like,
locked
caught
in
my
a
attention.
closet.
I feel like I'm
No,
getting
that's Dark
much more
Implications.
down on this story than I felt while I was reading
You're going
it, but,
down on
like,
the story?
But that's fine. I mean,
I
listen,
feel like
man.
I'm going down on the story way more than
Retroactively and
I
analyzing
did
it,
when I was reading it.
Yep.
But
and
I just don't think the dialogue is all that great. I'm probably going to give it a 0 unless somebody says something to convince me.
no, I'm gonna back you up real quickly, and I'll have much more to add. Like, yes, it's just there, and like, I will say, in general, Bradbury has some okay to good dialogue, but it was never to me like
Dialogue's not his strong point.
exactly.
Yeah.
And this is no exception. And because, like you mentioned, like such a shorter space, so it doesn't have the room to like even expand upon that. So whatever is there, like, yeah, it's just there. It's almost like a slight level below serviceable. Like, it's serviceable, like shakily, I guess. So I'm gonna agree. I'm probably gonna give it a 0 on that front.
Well, I'm going to give supporting a 0.
Right.
Oh, I forget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of
Did you
course
not
you did.
skip you? Did you get to speak about supporting? Or
You
speak
just went
now?
on. And I'm
Talk
like,
about
all right.
supporting.
There
I
was
don't wanna-
nothing more to say about
There's
it.
nothing more to say. All I was going to say was,
Well, then there is some more to say.
no. What do you see with your eyes closed? Nothing.
Mm.
So, and the same goes for dialogue. I mean,
Mm.
it is like totally like you'd read out of like a third grade story, you know. I love Bradbury, but
I mean,
you
it's
know.
third graders saying third grade things, so I guess that's accurate.
And
Doesn't
there's
make
a
it
reason
engaging.
I don't have kids.
Yes.
I don't want to
feel
hear
you.
this bullshit.
I've heard some third graders.
There's a reason you don't have very bad.
Be more articulate than this.
No,
Yes,
actually,
exactly.
no, actually, I'm going to give a third. My nephew is fucking awesome, and he's going into 4th grade. So
Mhm. But unfortunately, we're not rating him, we're rating the story.
yeah, seriously,
Get him on the podcast.
So
Let's
it's
get him on the
zeros.
horn. So we'll find
I think
out.
yeah.
I'll be
Oh, yeah.
the judge of if he's
his
awesome.
his parents
His dialogue is
his parents have to
Mats,
listen.
your fucking nephew or whatever.
Wait, his parent, my sister and brother-in-law have to like actually watch if they want him to watch it, like with the Avengers stuff, they have to watch it first because they know my propensity to curse.
It is very family friendly. Your nephew should not
Yeah.
watch this at all until he's much older.
Yeah.
But anyways, unless you want to warp him. But that's zeros for dialogue.
Warp him up. Your mom did it to you. You do it to him.
Yeah.
It's a circle life.
I
That'll
saw
leave
Apocalypse
zeros for
Now, but I was
dialogue, though. Chris, actually, you can lead off with style.
Style. Are we going to count the poem as style?
Yes.
I would agree because she's a
Steve-O, why don't you? I'm gonna.
I've been
defer.
waiting- I've been
I'm
waiting
going
for
to
so
defer
long.
to you.
regardless.
Let me wait. Hold on a second. Let me read the poem.
I was gonna be furious if you read that poem. The poem. I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. And that's it. That's
That
the
was
entire
Margot's poem.
And hey, that was Margot's poem. And
I hope it was worth the wait. audience.
nobody believes that she wrote it. But
There
she
once was
did,
a man
God
from
damn it.
Venus whose head looked like a penis.
That's Chris's
He got
poem.
caught in the rain. What a shame, etc. You fill in the rest. But no,
Venus.
it is a good. It's a very like a perfectly 9-year-old thing to write as a poem. So I do like your idea of shipping that in the style.
Hold on 1 second.
Good.
Chris, you didn't say anything for style yet, so please start or continue.
No,
style.
no, I deferred to you for the poem because to be honest with you, here it is, and like this is not okay. You have to. I don't remember when this thing was written, but there's a certain
on it. Yeah, my bad.
there's a certain style to like. You know, early Bradbury, early Asimov. I mean, these guys were cut and dry. A lot of, were cut and dry. There wasn't a lot of finesse to what they did. And in a story, and there's nothing wrong with the story, but there's not a lot of finesse to it either. I mean, it felt very utilitarian to me. Like I said, it's kind of there. So I'm on the fence with style. So I was kind of hoping that Steve-O's rendition of said poem would inspire me or warm my cold
I
heart.
was going to give it a 1 until Steve read the poem.
Warm the
Oh,
cockles.
But I
of your heart?
do want to explain why I'm giving it a 1. Even though I know scientifically Venus is nothing like this, I actually got a pretty good sense of what the planet they were on was like, the climate involved with that, the flora of that world, the downpour was always there, and like the flood. It felt very real, and that he put a lot of thought into how this world would actually function if with the underground cities and all that. If for such a short story, it felt like he crafted a believable world.
Yeah,
and I think that should deserve a 1 for me.
You talked me into it because you're absolutely right. I mean, the fact of the matter is, because in very few words, I was able to paint a complete picture. And I was like, no, very good point. You convinced me.
Yeah, I mean, like for all the dialogue, get away. What are you waiting for? Like for all the dialogue that's in here, there's so much good descriptive talk of what the planet is like, and like she was an old photograph dusted from an album, whitened away, and if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. Like that's where Ray Bradbury is
man.
awesome.
Good call.
That's where he shines, and like
Great line.
Yeah.
that is just literally the first thing I looked at in this story. Like when you that was not dialogue. If you want to get to the heart of a Ray Bradbury story, look for that. Look for the description and things like that, because that's where he's great. And I think that's where this story is really good, is in the style.
That's where it shines. Yeah, I would just add on. I agree that anything that's lost in dialogue is almost always going to be made up for in his world building and his descriptions of, again, even within a short window, he made the most of it here in this one, and that's pretty much applied to all his stories.
And now I feel bad because I'm like, oh, it's kind of cut and dry, blah blah blah. But I didn't think about the fact that
it's always got a poetic note to it. I think.
No, but the thing is, it did give me such a complete picture.
Yeah, like look at this one. Like talking about talking about how the other kids had this like fake remembrance of the sun. She knew they thought they remembered a warmness, like a blushing in the face, in the body, in the arms and legs, and trembling hands. But then they always awoke to the tatting drum, the endless shaking down of clear bead necklaces upon the roof, the walk, the gardens, the forest, and their dreams were gone. Like,
yeah, that's a fucking sick line, of course. And that's why I'm like, no matter what, even though we're not giving the story the most amazing score, I'm always going to give Bradbury 1. And like I said, I think this one's no exception. And as presented by your evidence of his reading some of his stuff. Yeah, man. All right. 1's all around on style. Convinced Chris easily enough there. But I think it made sense. Which brings me home to recommendation. Yeah, sure. As I just alluded to and said previously, there are other better Bradbury things to read, of course. But this one is still perfectly fine. It's much shorter. It's shorter in general, and you can get through it. And yeah, I think you'll have like the story itself, you'll have a brief enjoyment of it, and you might forget it, but it might stick in your memory too, like the memory of the sun for an hour.
It certainly made me appreciate the sun more. And it is short enough. And even though, yeah, you're right, there are better short stories, a better Bradbury. It's inoffensive. It's short enough. I'm not upset that I read it.
Sure.
So if someone came up to me and I think I'm reading some Ray Bradbury. I saw this one about him, kids on Venus. Yeah, go, why not?
Because I have read this now, if somebody was like, hey, what Ray Bradbury short story should I read? This is the only one I know, so I would definitely tell them this one.
All right. So by default.
Yeah, I mean, I know
but
his
even outside
his longer stuff, his novellas and novels and stuff like that, but this is the only really short story I know by him.
Fair enough.
And
you would?
Pretty good. It's an enjoyable read. It's only 4 pages long or whatever,
Yep.
And it is interesting. It's not going to stick with me. This is a strange week. We're doing 4 recordings this week. 2 of them are Heart of Darkness and Apocalypse Now. So those are things that are going to stick with me.
See, here's the thing: is you never know what's going to stick with you, though.
Yeah.
You can claim, yes, it'll stick with me, no, it won't, and then time
can
only tell that.
Like I said, so
that's true.
To me, this one might become a la the plot itself, like a dream. You might forget it, and then a week or 2 now or longer later, you might remember it.
You'll remember the title.
You might be outside, it starts raining. You're like,
I don't remember the title literally right now.
All summer in a day.
Yeah, I have.
But you might remember the feeling it evokes. Yeah. Either way.
No, I remember that much more than the title
sure.
and the dialogue. Anyway, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give it a 1. I mean, you guys actually sold me on it because I really walked in this not really sure what I was going to give it because it is such a basic story. It's like anything else. Good writers, even these small things, they're obviously they're diamonds in the rough in a lot of cases, even if they're established.
Sure. So yeah, I mean that's how I come down at it. So at the end of the day, you recommend it. So here we go. Let's parse it out. We've given a fairly average, above average score. Ian, Chris, and Stevo, you've all given it 6s, and I gave it just under that with a 5. Yes, I believe, which believes comes out at 5.7 if I'm doing the math.
Wait, didn't we all give zeros for something and you gave a 1?
No, the opposite. You all gave 1s and I stuck with a 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5.75.
5.75, which, it's a little bit above average. Like I said, maybe the story itself isn't better than its score implies, but where it stands...
It's legitimately if you're reading a collection of Bradbury, it's one of the...
You'll breeze through it and be like, yeah, sure. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're reading a
Slightly
collection of
above
Bradbury,
average.
it'll be in there.
Yeah,
Actually, it's
exactly.
probably-
That is factually accurate.
It's probably slightly below average Bradbury.
Yeah.
Slightly
And even
above
that's
average
still
standard
pretty
short story,
solid.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Even that's better than Dan Brown, right?
Yeah.
certainly, I won't get into it. I'll just close off. That'll leave us here. Until then, while we be my underground dome, avoiding the rain on Venus, I've been Scott Thurlow, here with my bullying classmates, Jonathan Edelmanzer,
I got about 5 years of rain left.
Stephen Amosi,
I too miss the sun.
and Chris Morgan.
There once was a dweeb named Steve.
And that was Chris's poem. And with that, we'll see you next time. Good night.
Rude.
Editing and engineering by Christopher Morgan. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.